probably the biggest reason why I personally am not like just staking all of my ETH and I'm instead like staking a fairly small portion is because if you stake your ETH, it has to be on like the keys that access it have to be public on some system that's online, and like for safety, it has to be a multi-sig, and multi-sigs for staking are still fairly difficult to set up, and it gets complicated in a bunch of ways.
Welcome back to the Kaspa Silver YouTube channel. In today's video, I want to talk about how Kaspa could actually potentially win. How can it be successful? How can it actually stay around for the long term? And I think to actually explain this is to understand the original vision of cryptocurrency as a whole. Cryptocurrency as a whole has really transitioned from what started it all. And it all started from Bitcoin. But I want to show you another clip coming from another insider of Ethereum who works on the programming side or whatever, and what they're really thinking nowadays of how crypto is to them.
And then another kind of question that I've been wondering is, what is the value of decentralization? Because there is one possible scenario, which is that we lose decentralization with restaking, but it doesn't actually matter. And maybe decentralization is only a bootstrapping mechanism to gain credible neutrality up until the point where we basically have technology, we have systems that don't rely so much on decentralization of the operators specifically. We still need decentralization of the nodes, but if the operators are basically handcuffed, they can't do censorship because we have inclusion lists, and they can't do any of the other bad stuff, then maybe we only need decentralization for the memes because it kind of looks good. But once we've won, once Ethereum is a $100 trillion settlement layer for the intent of value, then maybe the value of decentralization goes down a little bit.
So there you have it. Ultimately, these Ethereum devs don't really care about decentralization, and decentralization is huge to me. I was in the crypto space for the first bull run. I messed around with a bunch of other cryptocurrency projects and all that kind of stuff. And after the bull run and we went into the bear market, I knew I would go into a bear market, lose money from my investments, but I always had the long-term mindset approach. But then I started wondering and trying to think, why in the world does Bitcoin stay number one? Why does it stay number one? There's obviously a reason why it does stay number one. And it's just simply put is that there's trust in the decentralization aspect and the tech of Bitcoin. The reason why Bitcoin stays number one is because of the tech. The tech makes it safe and trustworthy. Ethereum, with a founder saying things like, I'm not even staking my Ethereum because my keys can be exposed, or saying other facts that I've seen that basically your staked Ethereum is always compromised and it's possible to be taken. Not only that, the fact how centralization becomes a huge part in proof of stake protocols. And they're over there speculating, saying that, well, once we basically make it where the people who are operators just can't do any type of censorship and all that kind of stuff, and Ethereum's 100 trillion market cap, which obviously I just don't personally believe is ever going to happen. But these are things that they're speculating on, but Ethereum's nowhere near to complete itself. I mean, fees are still ridiculous. I still don't see any utility or use case for Ethereum whatsoever. I understand people like NFTs and all that kind of stuff, or dApps, whatever, but I honestly have no care for that. I am in the crypto space simply for the technology as an investor in the space, and to actually invest into the purpose and the meaning behind crypto. And to figure that out is to go back to the Bitcoin white paper. The Bitcoin white paper was a purely peer-to-peer version of electronic cash, would allow online payments to be sent directly from one party to another without going through a financial institution or a third party or a group of validator nodes, any of that. It's supposed to be completely decentralized. that no one has any kind of control on the network and can block your transactions just because they want to. And this is what cryptocurrency or Bitcoin was made for. And this is why it's so important to understand the difference between Bitcoin and almost everything else. Everything else has a company behind it, everything else has a personal agenda behind it. The companies have ICOs, allocated coins that they can dump on you, and then they sell on you. I mean, just recently, today, there was an announcement. Don't know if it's actually true, if it actually happened, but that XRP just released a billion more XRP from their holdings. So that means that they can sell it to you on the market, and then they use your money to actually continue developing their company. And whether or not it's true that they actually did this, the point remains that they can do this. And it just defeats the whole purpose of decentralization in the space. This is why I'm in the space. This is why I don't talk about other cryptocurrencies. I only talk about Bitcoin and Kaspa, and then I would probably maybe mention Bitcoin Cash in the future, Litecoin in the future, because these are the only other cryptocurrencies that actually have that decentralized aspect to it. Now, another problem that I see in the space is the education is lacking greatly. And for Kaspa to thrive, I've always said that Kaspa will win with education. This is not a meme. This is not a proof of stake. This is not a VC-backed coin. This was created by the most intelligent people in the crypto space actually trying to solve real problems with blockchain. In fact, it's not even a blockchain either. And that is the greatest thing about Kaspa. And what people need to realize is that Kaspa is an unfinished project. People who are trying to tell you that you're going to be rich with Kaspa, you're going to be a millionaire with Kaspa, I understand the content is there for that on YouTube. I could be doing that kind of content and making my money through that kind of content, but I just don't like that. I didn't like that content when I was on YouTube and I was an average crypto investor before I became a YouTuber talking about a cryptocurrency. I didn't like content that was just going to tell me that my project is going to be successful and that it's going to make me tons of money. Everyone just has dollar signs in their brain. No, I actually want to have like actual evidence and proof why this could be successful in the future. And that comes from the tech side of things. And then also being real with people, telling them that, listen, Kaspa is an unfinished project. There are risks to Kaspa. The fact that there still has a ton of development in the process that needs to go through to actually make it to where it wants to go. You know, there could be issues with development as we're trying to approach. You know, thankfully, everything's been going very smoothly. There hasn't been any great, crazy hiccups. And that's just because the team behind Kaspa is very good at testing everything and making sure that things work before they launch them. And just want to basically clarify here is like Kaspa's really not trying to compete with Bitcoin at face value right now. It's really trying to compete with Bitcoin's vision, which was the peer-to-peer electronic cash system, which Bitcoin failed to achieve. This is a paragraph here from one of Jonathan's articles called "In Which I Have No Patience to Wait Till By and By." I highly recommend you read all of Jonathan's articles because they are very, very valuable and they just have a lot of information in there. But here he says, the elephant in the room. No one needs Bitcoin to be user-friendly. It is here to be hodled, not used. Bitcoiners rarely pay with their Bitcoins. A true Bitcoiner which never sells them, and we can all just hope to be as sacred as he who never ever touched his Bitcoins, which he's referring to Satoshi, which from research, people have concluded that he owns probably 1 million Bitcoin and he's never sold. And I know Bitcoiners that literally promote, never sell your Bitcoin. There's really no reason to sell it. So then I really don't understand the whole use case of Bitcoin as like a global cash system or anything like that. Like they teach people to never sell it, but then they also covered the fact that it's going to become a cash layer and, you know, people are going to use it for everything. And it's like, so what is it? Is it digital gold, digital cash? What is it supposed to be? Digital silver? And ultimately, Bitcoin is digital gold. It's not meant to be sold. I don't want to use my Bitcoin. I don't want to wait 10 minutes to use it or anything like that. And Kaspa is here for solving the vision, the original vision of Bitcoin, which says, Jonathan continue here, while obnoxious, this position is not ridiculous. It's not ridiculous. It just makes sense because of how Bitcoin was built. The most difficult part solved by Bitcoin was the creation of a stateless, algorithmically controlled money system. Of course, this money should be transferable and ideally conveniently so, but the main achievement is not good UX money. And if improving Bitcoin's UX would compromise its resilience, decentralization, or social scalability, it's not worth it. This position does imply, though, that a different cryptocurrency will prevail as a cryptocurrency that is intended to be used by the masses. And ultimately, I'm not calling for Kaspa to be the only cryptocurrency used by the masses. I mean, if we look at the market, we could see there's other things like Bitcoin Cash, there's Litecoin, there's Dogecoin, there's tons of different cryptocurrencies that exist. And ultimately, it's just going to come down to which one is going to be the most trustworthy. It's going to have the best tech, and it's going to be the most scalable and still remain decentralized. If you want to be a currency, Kaspa is the one actually trying to do the currency part of crypto. Most of these other cryptocurrencies are just simply companies. They're not really currencies, in my opinion. If I want centralization, I would rather go to stocks. All these other cryptocurrencies are, in my opinion, are securities. They are just simply stocks. And this is just my opinion. I'm not telling people to sell everything. I'm just looking at the crypto market in a perspective of how can I invest into this market and have the least amount of risk. Well, if I look at the crypto market, I see Bitcoin's number one. So what makes Bitcoin number one? Well, because of the tech, the fundamentals, the decentralization, and all that. Okay, cool. So I don't want to be closed-minded on that. And I'm an investor and I want to look for potentially new things to invest in, such as someone who's looking for another electric vehicle company to invest in. Like you have Tesla, but then there's another company that may, come up and be really good. Or how when you have iPhone and Android, you have two different things that basically do the same things, but they're just used different ways, or they're made by different companies. Like it's the same way, or Yahoo and Google. That's how I'm looking at Kaspa and Bitcoin. Bitcoin has its own use case, digital gold. Kaspa's here to try to become the digital silver, but it's an unfinished project and this could take time. You're going to need tons of patience. You probably won't make any money because most people probably won't hold through everything and understand, like when you invest into something, it is not a short term, 1 month, 1 week, oh, the price goes down, I sell. No, you invest into it. And as long as there's nothing that's like overly concerning about your investment, then you just hold on to it. An investment you hold on to like 2 to 5 years. Like that's basically how my mindset is when it's investing. I'm not a trader. There's many people out there that'll be like, yeah, you're dumb for thinking it's gonna go crazy in price. It's gonna go down. ASICs are gonna bring it down. This is not. I don't care. Like I'm not a trader. I'm here to put some money on the side that that I am willing to lose, and that if I lose all that money, I'm not going to be at a disadvantage in life in any sort of way. If you're putting money that you would be in a disadvantage in life, meaning that you can't pay your debts, you can't pay your bills and all that kind of stuff, then what are you doing in the market? This is not for you. Like you should be making sure that you have those things covered. Like I don't have any debt. I'm currently living with my parents still before I move out, and I'm in a good position to invest a lot more money than normal. But once I move out, life is going to hit and I can't invest as much as I used to anymore, and that's just reality. And you have to analyze, okay, what's the riskiest investments? And in the crypto space, in my opinion, the riskiest things are going to be things that are proof of stake, that are not fully decentralized, that have a company behind them, that the government can literally tell you that you're a security, and then it can go 30% down in price just because of words. Like I think that's a problem if an investment can go down drastically just because of words. And if the government just says you're a security, boom, 30% drop, I think that's super risky. Now, I understand people think like, it's all just the government trying to do its thing, whatever. This probably will change. Gary Gensler might get taken out. I don't really care. As long as that is still going on, it's not situated yet. I don't even care to look at all these other cryptocurrencies that are clearly securities if we're going based on the law only. Only the law. If we're going based on the law, it's clear. It's a security. It has a company behind it. They use investors' money to fund themselves. They also did an ICO. People privately invested in them. They're basically a company. They're trying to operate as like a tech company, basically. That's how I view it. And that's just my opinion. It doesn't mean, that my opinion is true or anything like that. Like I'm right with everything I say. This is just how I view it and how I think I can be in the least riskiest investments in the crypto spaces by following Bitcoin fundamentals. Because if you look at the coin market cap, who's in the top 10? Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Litecoin. And then coming up, you got Bitcoin Cash coming up now. And these coins, this is fully decentralized, fully decentralized, fully decentralized. And this is a meme. I know it has Elon Musk, whatever, but this is a meme, but it is fully decentralized. Bitcoin, number one, fully decentralized. And what is Kaspa? It's a fully decentralized network that is proof of work and is following the same fundamentals of Bitcoin, literally having the same Nakamoto consensus, but just generalizing it, making it better. The tech is better and everything about it, but it's still unfinished. It has tons of developments to come in the future. And I think the biggest thing that people have against Kaspa is ASIC mining. But to fulfill the vision of ASICs, you have to have, or fulfill the vision of Kaspa, you have to have ASIC mining, because this is the whole part of being an electronic cash system. This is another paragraph here from Jonathan's articles. This is one of his last articles talking about, where to. And this kind of happened after the word got out that ASICs were coming on the network. So I'm just going to kind of read this and kind of get the views of the actual founder of Kaspa, who has literally been in the space since 2013, has been trying to improve Bitcoin. I over here say on this tweet here, it says Cas roots go way back. Reasons why I do not care for any other investment in crypto except Bitcoin and Kaspa. This is a picture of a YouTube video with Jonathan explaining the block DAG back in 2015. And I have a playlist here where there's 3 videos where you can find Jonathan speaking at the Scaling Bitcoin conferences that they had back in the day, which one of the organizers of this conference is in the Discord supporting Kaspa because he believes in the technology. And the biggest thing with Bitcoin is that people reject it from improving itself because it could sacrifice decentralization if they try to improve it, or just mess it up and people will lose trust. So I understand Bitcoin's in a tough situation, but the good thing is Kaspa is so new that it's trying to attack improving it now, getting it fleshed out, fully done now, so that in the future it's already done and it's trustworthy and it's proven to work. And we are seeing it work as we keep scaling Kaspa on its base layer right now. But this is what Jonathan says in this article. Kaspa is gaining traction, more eyes on us, different edges, intentions, interests. These interests may be at odds, but we are very early in our growth path, still categorically a positive sum game. In particular, future revival of ASICs will be an overall positive for Kaspers, GPUs miner included. Similarly to GPU miners, arrival being a big win for the CPU miners, which they outmined. Decentralization has more to do with the openness, permissionless level, field nature of the market rather than the degree of heterogeneity in outcome. Fewer entities dominating mining is not in and of itself a sign of centralization, as long as they are unable to impose nonlinear rich get richer effects. For an example of the latter in the longest change consensus, see this article. We are all romantically biased towards a visually egalitarian hash rate distribution pie chart, a sentiment which leads many in social political contexts to wrongly expect fair systems to demonstrate equal outcomes. And admittedly, capital itself is a barrier to entry and brings about some non-linearity to the game. However, this is the price of victory paid by each and every ecosystem when passing the tipping point. Moreover, Kaspa uniquely requires CapEx heavy mining to fulfill its vision, as will be explained shortly. And so, when time comes and Kaspa shifts into heavy mining, we will welcome its maturity phase with great satisfaction, albeit a tinge of sadness. And it's the same thing from transitions from CPUs to GPUs to CPUs. People are all going to get upset because the GPU miners now are going to be more profitable than the CPU miners, but to ensure that the network stays secure, it needs to keep improving. We need to get to ASICs. If we want to compete with things like Bitcoin, Litecoin, and all that kind of stuff, we're going to need ASICs to ensure that our network is going to be the most secure so that no attacks can actually come on the network, which then could lead this network to not be trusted or be used as the vision that we want as a digital electronic cash system. So personally, I think that the way Kaspa wins is number one by education. Educating users make people understand their investment, and when the price goes up and down, these very little price movements in the short term, people don't just panic sell and not understand what's going on, and they just sell based off of strictly emotion. I want everyone to learn how to be emotionless when you are an investor into anything. This doesn't just apply to Kaspa. This applies to literally any single investment you ever get into. You need to learn how to get emotionless and start researching your investment and understanding it to find any flaws in your investment. If you do find flaws in your investment, then is when you can assess maybe selling your investment or getting out. But as long as if there's no flaws, then you need to learn how to be able to just hold through it and see the outcomes in the future. Also, the second thing that's going to help Kaspa to win is to not be closed-minded and to not block people simply because they have different opinions than us. If they don't believe in Kaspa, they think Kaspa is a scam or whatever. Engage in conversation and actually have normal civil debates like mature human beings that we can be, and actually just discuss different opinions and still be friends. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It's really not that serious. It's just an investment. It's serious to the point that it is your money. Yes, of course. But I don't think it's that serious to literally block people and get all upset at them just simply because they don't have the same opinion as you. I don't think us as a community should be like that, especially if we want adoption on like a global scale for Kaspa. We definitely should not be shutting people out just because they have a different opinion. If they have a different opinion, you just state, what your beliefs are, and then eventually just agree to disagree and move on. I mean, there's people that literally subscribe to me and don't agree with me on certain things. They stay subscribed to me because I'll just state my opinion, this is my belief, but then tell them like, hey, I respect your decision. I don't, it doesn't bother me that you're investing into something else other than Kaspa. I don't really care. This is just something that I'm really passionate about, and I like to explain and talk about the tech because I'm just a nerd. And, instead of having to talk to only maybe my family members about this or friends, I can just talk on YouTube and people will listen to me. And, it's just, for me, it's just an investment that possibly could make me a lot of financial wealth in the future, but also could see like a revolutionary thing take place and actually something compete with something like Bitcoin in the future, because I just don't simply believe that one day coin market cap, we're going to click it and it's just going to be Bitcoin because everything else disappeared. Everything else went to zero. I just don't see that happening. It's not realistic. In the real world with stocks or, companies, stuff like that, that doesn't happen. I mean, and in the real world, we have gold and silver. And I think perfectly Bitcoin represents a digital gold and Kaspa could possibly represent a digital silver. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. And if you guys did like it, please consider leaving a like and also subscribing to the channel. If you guys are wanting to support my channel, you guys can sign up to my Patreon, which gives you early access to all my videos before they go live. It gives you access to a private Discord, and you also get access to free weekly giveaways for Kaspa every single week. So if you guys are interested in that, there's a free trial going on. It's $15 a month, and it just supports me so that I can keep trying to stay consistent with my uploads, because I know you guys do enjoy this content a lot. So as always, don't be average, be different.